So, is the Album Twinsman the perfect twin fin for you? Stick around and find out. So this is going to be an overall 6-month review of the Album Twinsman and just going through the size, the shape, the best fins, etc. And overall just how it performs, I think, as a daily driver, or even if the waves are kind of poor. We don't get sick waves every day, so can you ride this board in lackluster conditions and still have a good time? Well, this review will help you make that decision if this board is for you. Really, the Twinsman actually excels when the waves are like firing. I would say like 4 to 6, glassy, and just going off. The sessions that I'm actually reviewing this for my 6-month review, we're not getting many swells down here in Southern California, so I'm happy to make do. But I'm still happy and impressed with some of the performance I can get out of this board in lackluster surf, especially because of the thickness and the step downness of the rail. It actually comes and it creates a little bit of a like platform. And then I also like how the tail, it gets kind of swallowed here. And then this part is super sharp, but it ends up being pretty thick here, as opposed to the Firewire surfboards would actually get really thin right here. So that thickness does help it kind of maintain its speed in the bigger surf. Sometimes though, it can get a little sluggish when the waves are, I would say, not like firing. So even though it is a twin fin fish, you want a little bit of push with the waves. And I would say I'm actually surfing this mostly in worse conditions than I should. But, you know, what are you gonna do when the swell hasn't come? The perfect conditions for the Album Twinsman are 3 to 5 foot, 6 foot, 7 foot, nice big long lines. And it could be a little top to bottom, but a little smoother, it actually performs very nice. Hard to be like Josh Kerr back in the day, getting some of those initial clips on this thing. And he's riding it very tiny. Since I'm riding it a little bigger, essentially as tall as me, I can get a little extra float. I think what a lot of people do with the Twinsman, unfortunately, is they buy it too small. And that's why you tend to see a good amount of Twinsmans on the internets, on OfferUp, Boardle, shout out, or even any of the in-store stuff, but mostly OfferUp. And I think what happens is people buy this board thinking they're gonna be like Victor or Asher Pacey riding it really tiny, where actually it ends up being a little nicer when it's a little bigger. And even the stretched out versions are nice. And again, because it does kind of create like a little bit of a boat effect with being very thick, but the rails, they come up to here, which is crazy. So the rail starts dipping down here, and it's almost like you're on a platform that goes like that. One of the newer boards that does it a lot even more is the Pyzel Precious. So the Pyzel Precious does this, but even more extreme. But it creates a nice like big flat spot to paddle on. Your knees can kind of push against here and your thighs, and it paddles really nice. At first I definitely thought like, wow, this is like pretty floaty, but now I really like how much float I get out of it. And because the fins are where they're supposed to be, and I have these Album Twinsman pretty much fins in here, these fins are made for this board, it's not loose. It rides like a thruster, and you have to put some oomph into the turns, which I like because I don't like when a twin fin is super skatey and has no pivot and no drive. This is essentially the best of both worlds. So I opted to go for a little bigger on my Twinsman. It's the 6.0 version, and it's 37 liters, which I know is a little much, but I like that extra float. It's the same liters essentially as the Machado Cotto 510. It's also 20.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches thick with 2 C's. So I think that extra float, I think if you're gonna go either smaller or bigger with the Twinsman, I think it is smarter to go a little bigger, even though you see all these people riding smaller Twinsmans. I think when in doubt, go a little bigger. Foam is your friend. All right, hot tip, when you're putting your fins in these boards, could be a little tricky. Take a little wax and just wax these. It makes it 10 times easier as you'll see. These are the Album NBS fins. These are very upright, and these are essentially made for the Twinsman. These are my favorite twin fins, maybe my favorite fins ever, and they're going in here. They live in this board. And super easy with that wax tip. It's a hot tip. They're futures, the wax, you're in there like swimwear. Tighten those babies down. Tight, but not too tight. All right, y'all, the Twinsman's performing nicely in these lackluster, not very great conditions. Let's get some more shredding in. Alrighty, y'all, my favorite part of the review is just going through clip by clip in real time, saying what I think. It's fun to throw the board like that. And again, this is the 6-foot version, so I'm able to grovel it better than you would if it was a smaller board. The one downside is you can't flick it up as easily as a small board, but because it is a twin fin, it still has that flickability. Now, as you'll see on this one, it's really good. Like, you hear that backside, you can't ride a twin fin. This one rides really good as a twin fin backside, and that's because with the Album NVS fins made for it, it keeps the hold, it keeps the drive, it doesn't kind of compromise as most twin fins do for backside. And again, because of just the fish outline, it's still very maneuverable, obviously because it's a twin fin. Again, here, you can really throw it. Now, you see, I kind of call my edge a teeny bit. The one thing about this board is because it is a little thicker, you can catch your edge a little bit. I do it here again, right there, because you're gliding so perfectly that when the wave does have a little hiccup, it can get caught a teeny bit. Now, we'll kind of look at the shape a little closer here, and because of the thick roundness of the board, that is why it does a little better in smoother, glassy, quote-unquote perfect waves. When there's a teeny bit of chop, it can throw you off a little bit because you're so used to just gliding. See how thick the nose even stays? It's not like the Firewire boards where it gets really thinned out. It keeps its thickness. This sunset session was super fun. I think the board rides similar frontside and backside. Again, I think I might be a teeny bit better backside these days, but it's really good at beating sections, as you saw there, and then still being able to hold its line and hold its rail. Sometimes twin fins can be kind of skiddy and slidey with that. It holds really nicely. Here's a little slow-mo action, and I really like that turn, and the bottom turn going up to it is really nice. And here's another one. You can tell this is not much of a wave, but you can really get speed off the bottom turn and then drive up. Showing the board again here, and look, I'm a male model. Why male models? Get the joke. Now here, you can throw it up nicely and then it'll just come back down nicely. Looking at the board again, perfect wax job. It really is that classic 70s, 80s twin fin, kind of shape that went away and now it's back in style. Really good at gaining speed off the bottom turns and then being able to drive it up. And for a twin fin, it can really roundhouse well as well. I really like this wave. Just goes to show that it can grovel when you need it to. And you can really just power the board up and down when you're pumping. And see, the best thing about these twin fins is you can be kind of lazy and throw the board up like that. With on a thruster, unless the fins are smaller, it's a little more difficult. And here, what's nice about the Twinsman too is because it is so thick with 2 C's and it keeps the volume through the tail into the swallow, is that on these smaller waves, it can generate its kind of own speed as long as you're up and riding and get it going. Like here, up, you can get it going, and on a small wave, it can still, ride plenty well.
On the website, it does say foam is your friend. Size this up a little bit as opposed to down, which I think is a great move and is what I did. Here, it's obvious that wave is tiny, knee high, and I'm still able to power through and have a fun wave. Same with this one, Huntington Hop, but then you can really release the board as long as you have a little bit of speed from that Huntington Hop. It's not as projecting as, maybe if you had the Dark Arts version or an epoxy version of this, it will project a teeny bit more, but the PU does make it a little more of a drivey twin fin that can project as long as you get enough speed when you're driving. Now, I really like this wave, and I slow it down too, because there is nothing going on this wave. It is a thigh-high mush burger, but because when I drop in, as you'll see here, push the board out and then it creates a bottom turn and a turn at the same time. And then I can still come around and hit this little tiny thigh-high nothingness, and it still lets me flick it up like you want to do on a twin fin.
That is it for the Album Twinsman 6-month review. I would say if you are just jonesing for like a high performance twin, that's really what this is. But it can still perform in lackluster surf, and you're not going to be like out to dry. I mean, some of these waves, it's either like have a longboard or this, so it's kind of like my Machado Kata review where I'm riding it in like the crappiest of crap. This is not a groveler, but you can grovel with it, and then when the waves do get really good, that's when it will really shine. So I would say size it up a little bit. Try these fins or try some more kind of upright twin fins. And if you want to watch another one of my surfboard reviews, click over here, or just another one of my surf general reviews, click here. Smash subscribe. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Start binging the videos. Till next time, peace.